I don't normally do this, but I got to say, I'm pretty excited about charts. Like, I'm usually pretty excited about, I don't know, what am I excited about, Mozzie, usually? Like OCaml and lifting weights and guitar, right? But man, I got to say, Mozzie, this is exciting because I'm like a little, charts. All right, that was great. It's awesome. All right. My name is Rob Underwood. I'm the Director of Programs for the FinTech Open Source Foundation, Finos. How many people are familiar with Finos? Yeah, all right, great. So our mission is to expand the adoption of open source within financial services. So everybody, whether you're Goldman or you're RBC or you're OpenFin or you're JP Morgan, you're using large amounts of open source, and that's great. But our mission is a little bit different in that our mission is really to expand the actual ability for a developer who's sitting at 200 West to be able to actually contribute and do pull requests into open source repositories. And that's not always an easy thing to do. There's all sorts of legal and compliance and technical obstacles that have to be overcome. So I want to tell you a little bit about kind of where we are in the journey and how you can get involved. All right, so who are we? So we have a lot of fancy names that are platinum members. We have a lot of fancy names that are gold members. We have a lot of fancy names that are silver members. Wonderful institutions, many of which are here. Many of the people who are some of our most active contributors in the community are here. So thank you. So we have most of the bulge bracket. We have several of the buy sides. We have a number of the leading fintech organizations, including OpenFin. Thank you for putting on this event. And we have a number of the data providers as well who focus on financial data, IHS Markit, TradeWeb, FactSet, Refinitiv, et cetera. So we really, I think, have a wonderful representation of the financial services community within our membership. One of the great things about our approach, though, is that you don't have to be a member to join our community. You can participate, anyone can participate. And if I leave you with one thing today, it's sort of, how do I get started and how do I participate? That's what I'd like to focus on. So a snapshot of our community, we're about 105 projects and about the same number of GitHub repositories. We also are increasingly using GitLab. Both GitHub and GitLab are members. We have 10 programs. I'll talk a little bit more about what a program is. We have about 300 contributors. So what's a contributor? A contributor, first and foremost, is somebody who's doing a pull request, but it can also be somebody who's participating on a mailing list, who's joining a meeting, what have you. So we have about 300 contributors and 32 member organizations. So what are our programs? I got a little washed out here, but I'll read through this. You'll learn about these soon enough. So we have 10 programs. We have our voice program, which is focused on trader voice use cases first and foremost. That's led by Green Key and Cloud9. We have our Symphony program. Some of you may know our legacy. I'll talk about it in a second. We used to be the Symphony Software Foundation. We used to be part of Symphony. The data visualization program, which is the home to the Perspective JS contributions from JP Morgan. The data layer got washed out, but we have 2 programs in there. Our data technologies program. Sorry, just one, our data technologies program. And then we also have Hadouken, which is kind of the internal, kernel's not really quite the right word, but sort of the internal pieces to OpenFin, which OpenFin has kindly open sourced and made available. Plexus, which represents some of the interoperability that powers the Deutsche Bank Autobahn single dealer platform. FDX, which has a number of different pieces, most notably our new cloud certification project, which JP Morgan also contributed. And then our decentralized program, led by Amber Balde, who used to be the lead for the Quorum project at JP Morgan. She's now got her own startup called Clover, as well as IHS Markit. And then, anyone here of FDC3? Yeah. You know what I like FDC3 for? What do you think? Charts? Charts. FDC3 and charts, it's pretty good. So, and then we have our financial objects program, which is pretty great. All right, so where do we come from? All right, so this is some of the folks who are on our board or were on our board at the time. on April 24th, 2018. We got a nice post on avc.com, so if you want some background on Finos, check that out. So kind of where do we come from and where are we going? So I touched a little bit on our history. I want to orient you all on that a little bit. So back in the olden days, so 7 years ago, there were some folks, primarily at Goldman, a couple other places, who said, hey, maybe we could build an open source terminal of sorts. We could do trader comms, we could do some chatting. Some of you probably know some of the other history there. So they went off and they started to build some pieces, which then came together and became Symphony. So Symphony was created by Goldman and a few other banks. And then the Symphony Software Foundation emerged out of that to encourage and promote the development of open source projects on top of the Symphony stack. Then we started to think, well, geez, it's cool that we're building these projects on top of the Symphony stack, but we also have OpenFin, and we have all these other wonderful technologies to use. Maybe what the foundation really needs is it needs a dedicated foundation focused on industry business problems that's focused on open source. So that's what we became. We became Finos. So now we launched with 8 programs, and then we've since launched a couple more, consolidated them, and that's where we are. Any questions? Charts? All right. I'm going to keep on that. That was good. I got some laughs. That was good. All right. So one of the questions I get a lot, and I put some of these slides together just out back. You might have seen me like, oh, what's he doing over there? So I put these together because one of the questions I get a lot is, all right, so Brian knows how to be involved in Finos because Brian's at every meeting, well, most every meeting. But not everyone necessarily knows how to get involved in Finos. And some people are like, all right, this kind of looks cool. I'd like to get involved. So how do I get involved? All right, let me tell you. So first of all, we have lots of project meetings. Brian knows, Nick knows, they're on most of them. But we have probably, on average, about 1 meeting a day, maybe 2 projects, working group meetings. Anyone in this room, anyone is welcome to come to a meeting. So come check out a meeting, listen in. They're on WebEx. That's a great way to really kind of get your feet wet. For example, tomorrow we have our open source readiness meeting at 10 a.m., so come check that out. Join a mailing list. We have mailing lists. They're done through Google Groups. Get on a mailing list, start getting the emails, start finding out more about what Finos is up to for whatever project that you might be interested in. Sign up to receive the newsletter and blog posts. Browse our projects in GitHub, and also another opportunity to join us at the Open Source Strategy Forum. So what does that look like? So first of all, I want you all, if you haven't already, take your phones out. You can do it at break too. But go navigate to the finos.org website, go to community, go to calendar. There's a calendar that has all of our meetings. So if you want to check out, for example, our new cloud certification project, that's on Thursday. All of the details with the WebEx and other information will be right there. You want to join a mailing list? Great, come and join a mailing list. We have lots of mailing lists, about 65 different mailing lists. Those are all available at our wiki, which is wiki.finos.org. All of this stuff is also listed on our website. You want to get our newsletter, you want to get some of our blog posts, you want to get our This Week at Finos, some of those other things. Great, go to our website, sign up, and you'll get a newsletter. So what about our actual projects themselves? So one piece of feedback we got was, hey, we'd really like to see all of your projects in one place. So we've consolidated nearly all of our projects now, and they're under github.com/Finos. So go check out the projects. You'll see Perspective, Data Helix, which Scott Logic just contributed, Exodus. We have all of our projects, nearly all of our projects there. We do have some exceptions. So FDC3 is of kind of sufficient size, and a bit of the legacy of it is that that's still in its own GitHub org. So when you see /, that's an org. So that's a GitHub org FDC3. So if you're looking for FDC3, you'll see it at github.com/FDC3. We've also been very busy supporting the community in terms of some of the product marketing and community building. So not only this event, but also putting together some microsites. This is a wonderful effort of just a ton of different people who work together to build this website for FDC3. So check it out, fdc3.finos.org. I don't have as much about charts here, but I do have a fair amount of information there. FDC3, we've got an upcoming user adoption survey. So we'd love to hear if you're thinking about implementing or using or in some other way doing something with FDC3 or have plans to. We'd like to hear more about that. We have other projects as well. I mentioned Perspective. I know there's a ton of JP Morgan people here. some of the people who are working on Perspective, so check it out. That's the microsite, that's the GitHub repo. We have our event series, our open source in FinTech event series. I'm the handsome guy with the obnoxious Patagonia vests over there. And then these are two people who actually can program C. And they're talking about some decentralized and blockchain technologies. That was at Moody's last March, really good event. And then we have our open source strategy forum coming up on November 20th. I hope you'll all be there. With that, no more charts from me, no more slides either. There's a ton of members of our participants in our community here. I know Goldman's here, JP Morgan's here, I see Morgan Stanley's here. I'm sure I'm missing people. Yeah, Goldman's here, RBC I think is here. So lots of our members, if I left one out, it doesn't mean I don't love you. I do love you, but I just didn't see you. So anyways, it's great that you're all here. If you have any questions, our executive director, Gab, is somewhere back there. Oh, there he is. He's waving his hands. There's Gab. Gab's a very quiet chap, so you'll have to sort of kind of, maybe talk to him and he'll talk. So anyways, that's it, and thank you so much. Have a good one.